City News is brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.
Kia ora Rotorua, ahead in tonight's bulletin. The local Filipino community is gathering donations to send home to help survivors of Typhoon Haiyan. Locals are being encouraged to drop off their unusable television sets at the Rotorua Recycling Centre, and the 2013 World Rafting Championships got underway today with a special welcome in Kawerau. The local Filipino community is gathering donations to send home to help survivors of Typhoon Haiyan, which hit the islands 4 days ago. Organiser Susanna So says donations are being taken at 2 local Filipino shops in the CBD. For more information or to drop off donations, visit the Fiesta Pinoy shop in Umahia Street. Entries for next year's Young Māori Farmer of the Year Awards are now opened. It's the 3rd year the awards have been held and were established to help empower young farmers and encourage their personal development and growth. This year the award is targeted at dairy farmers between the ages of 16 to 25 years. Application forms and further information can be found at ahuwhenuatrophy.maori.nz. Locals are being encouraged to drop off their unusable television sets at the Rotorua Recycling Centre as the city prepares to go fully digital on December the 1st. RDC Solid Waste Manager Tim Sennington says the TV Take Back program is an initiative aimed at recycling unwanted television sets, diverting them from landfill.
We are participating with TV Take Back for the Ministry for the Environment and Love New Zealand, and part of that is actually being able to recycle as much of the TVs as possible and not send them to landfill.
And how much of the TV is recyclable?
It depends on the TV type itself. Anywhere between 50 and 80% of the TV can be recycled. Anyone could bring the TV stand here at any time anyway. Even once the digital swap over has gone over, we can still accept your TVs down here.
In sport tonight, the 2013 World Rafting Championships got underway today, marking an exciting opportunity for Rotorua and Kawerau. About 600 athletes and 71 teams from 29 countries will be taking extreme paddling to new levels as the White Water Championships run until November the 24th. RDC events and venues have been involved with the organisers in promoting the event, which is hoped it could become an annual event here. The World Champs begin with the junior and youth competitions today, ending on Sunday. The senior and masters teams will begin official practice on Monday, followed by racing next Thursday to Sunday at Okere Falls. To your weather now, Rotorua. Tonight will be fine with light winds and an overnight low of 6. Tomorrow, Thursday, fine with light winds, a high of 19 and a low of 6. And the outlook for Friday, fine with light winds, a high of 20 and a low of 7. And the marine forecast for Lake Rotorua, southerly 10 knots rising to 15 knots in the late morning and then easing at night with waves less than half a metre, and it will be fine. Remember, for program listings and other info or to catch up on City News online, you can visit our website tvrotorua.co.nz. Still to come tonight in City News, we catch up with long-time museum volunteer Anne Somerville. RDC Regulatory Services Manager Nevin Hill has news about changes to special liquor licences. And we meet Mark Spikerbosch to find out about a new art project involving local school children.
Well, if you've ever been down to the Rotorua Museum, you've probably bumped into my guest today, and she's got a very special story for us, and I'd like to introduce Anne Somerville. Thanks for joining us today, Anne. Now, you've been down here for 23 years now at the Rotorua Museum, but you've got some news for us.
Well, that, as an actual fact, I'm retiring after all this time, so I'm going to take life a bit easier and Probably come in and do some guided tours, but other than that, it's time to go away and smell the roses.
Yeah, and have some family time.
Exactly right, yes.
Now, I mentioned you've been here for 23 years, so you would have seen some changes over that time.
Huge changes, right? For instance, where we're standing, there certainly wouldn't have been the crowd of people coming up behind us like they are now. It would have been quite dark because there was a dance floor in there that used to have Tudor towers upstairs, so it wouldn't have been like this at all.
Now, over those 23 years, and you must have had a couple of favourite shows that you would have seen over that time?
I certainly have, actually. One of my favourites was called Daughters of the Land, and we did that in 1993, and that was looking at rural women's history, Māori and European, in this area, and that was a bit of a landmark. But we also did one called Elvis and Geyserland in 1995, and that got world attention, partly because Graceland said we couldn't do it. And so we had a big sort of media campaign, and they allowed us to.
Wow.
And we had great fun with that. But it looked at the way Elvis's music had affected people way down here, down under. And
even now, he's still pumping out songs, because they're releasing songs that have been hidden away.
Exactly. I mean, it's a fascinating story all round, but it had a big effect on New Zealand culture. So that's why we did that one. And I guess my real favourite is the Māori Battalion exhibition in the year 2000. We decided we'd get the boys of B Company all back together, and that was just a wonderful thing to do. Very, very sad, a lot of it, but also something very special to have in our museum.
Now, your main role here is training the volunteers that come in and do the tour guiding. Are you going to miss that? Because I've got to imagine, you've got to be a bit of a people person.
Oh, definitely. I loved doing it. I probably taught about 20 groups, probably about 200 guides.
Wow.
But it's passed on into very good hands, and I think, that there's a time for everyone to step back, and it's my time to step back.
The other good thing I've noticed when we walked in here is that amongst the older generation, there's a lot of young people that are here that are working as well.
It's great. We've got a wonderful staff and a great director, and things are going really well. So I think it's, once again, on another level, it's great to step back just at this point.
Now, are you going to completely let go of your role here, or are you just going to come back and do a little bit here and there?
I might do some. I put myself on the bottom of the list of guides, so they can call me in if they want me to, and that's cool, just to keep in touch. Yeah.
Now, before you started here, you actually had a column in the Daily Post talking about art. Is that what got you into the museum?
Well, yes, it was. It was the wee toe in the door, one of them, that got me in here. I wrote an arts column and tried to make art accessible, if you like, and I did that for 18 years, so it was a good thing to do, and helped educate myself as well.
Like we said, you've seen a lot of different changes and a lot of different people coming through here. Do you have a favourite tourist group from a certain country?
Well, I mean, what is quite exceptional, on a day's tour you might have people from 6 countries, and that's the endless variety of people from all over the world that have found out about our museum, and they're coming here to see and hear our stories. That's a great thing in itself. We have some big groups, we have little groups, but it's just that endless variety, and it's really, really interesting to meet people. We give the Australians a bit of a hard time.
I think that's
that's part of the course, and but otherwise, it's very personal. It's a little intimate thing that happens in a group of people for that time that you've got them here.
What would be the general reaction of people as you're taking them around?
Oh, they love the place. They just love it, and you can tell that they're very interested, and they get a great deal out of our Māori gallery as well. So they're very impressed.
Yeah. Well, Anne, we wish you all the best, and now that you're going to hang up your boots, and enjoy your retirement. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much indeed.
I'm here at the Rotorua District Council with Nevin Hill, who's going to be talking to me about changes to the licensing in liquor. So if you've got plans this summer to host an event, you're going to have to be very careful how you go about it. Can you tell me some of the changes?
Yes, Kerry. The government signalled quite clearly that the community was about change, and they wanted to reduce and minimise the harm caused by excessive and inappropriate consumption of alcohol. And part of the raft of changes was around special licences, which are for those events that people may hold for 21st birthdays, where they're selling and supplying alcohol, to larger events like Ragamuffin. And they said, time has come that we address the harm. So what they said is several things. One is about the fee structure. So previously, for whether it was Grandma's 80th birthday or whether it was Ragamuffin with 35,000 people coming, it was one flat fee of roughly $64, where the cost of compliance and monitoring was obviously much greater and significant for Ragamuffin than it was for Grandma's 80th birthday. So they said that it's about user pays and that those fees should be shafted home to the people that are causing those effects. So while we're still waiting for the final regulations, it does mean that special licences for large-scale events will cost in the vicinity of $500 now. And that is about the added cost to our community for meeting that. They also said that the timelines were not very well managed. So many people in our community just sort of woke up on a Friday and said, I want to function on the weekend and I need a liquor licence, and then the police, medical officer, health and the council staff, the inspectors, had to report on that in a very short time frames. So they've changed those time frames, so you have to now apply 20 working days prior to the event. And any time under that 20 working days, there's going to be a question whether we'll be able to get it through and get it granted in that timelines.
Is that because the Rotorua District Council is under pressure with workload, or because you just want to change the structure of it?
So this is government-led legislation, so this is consistent right across New Zealand. So it's not just about Rotorua District Council, it's about the whole community across New Zealand, and of course we fit into that. But it also means that our partner agencies, especially the police and medical officer health, they have many other functions like council, and their time and their resources are limited. And so, if you want a responsible response, then it's very hard to say, can you think of all the issues in 24 hours and get them to us, whereas sometimes they have to inquire and report on those conditions.
Do you think that the aim is to try and minimise these types of events?
I personally don't think so. I think if you're well organised, and let's face it, if you're inviting a whole lot of people to a function, it usually isn't done just overnight. You've been planning for a while. I know with my parents, when they had their 50th wedding anniversary, we were 6 months in the planning for that. So it's not something that you just wake up and decide you're going to have a party and you want to sell and supply alcohol.
So was it happening regularly?
Yes, people, and I suppose it's about habits and perceived timelines. So when we let people just continually creep into those short notice applications, then they go, well, this is the way we should act in the future.
What are the community kind of groups that usually make that, or is it individuals? Or
So it's a combination. Most of them are individuals that don't really understand the rules. I have to say in Rotorua that most of our professional bodies that we work with are very responsible and do get their applications in on time. And also the Rotorua District Council, when forming its local alcohol policy, acknowledged things like tangies and funerals. We obviously can't say to them, hey, look, wait for 20 working days, and then have your function. So they've made some special provisions in the local alcohol policy that should they be finally adopted, will allow for those at a no cost and on short notice, which is about listening to our community and working with them.
so in terms of money, the scales now and how that will be shared, the fees of how they will be shared, is that going to make more money for the government and for the council ultimately, or is that distributed amongst users?
No, so basically what the government said is that the whole vote liquor should be about user pays and it should be cost recovery. So what they've said that previously a lot of the councils couldn't carry out their functions because they didn't have enough income. Some of them were getting down to about 25% of the cost of running the liquor operation for the council was funded by fees, and they were set by government. And one of the big issues that Sir Geoffrey Palmer and the Law Commission heard right throughout New Zealand was there wasn't enough income coming in to do the monitoring and doing the compliance checks out there in our community. And the community said, we want our council out there, making sure our community is safe and that the harm caused to our community is minimised. And so they're paid for by the fees.
Okay, so any body that would like to be able to have a look into these changes, where can they find the information?
So in two places, Council's website has a good page on the changes around the new liquor legislation and the major impacts that come into effect on the 18th of December this year. And we also have links back to the Ministry of Justice's website, which is the body of government that's been charged with making this legislation come to fruition.
Okay, well thank you very much, Nevin.
No problem, Kerry.
Well, there's a brand new school art project underway right now. There's about 500 students from 5 primary schools from all around Rotorua, and they're designing murals that are going to be displayed at the Rotorua airport. And we're down here at Ōwhata Primary School, and we're going to get inside and see what these kids are up to. Well, joining me now from the council is the Community Arts Officer, Mike Spikewash. Thanks for joining us today, Mark. Now, had a quick look at what these kids are up to. They're pretty talented, aren't they?
They sure are. This is my favourite team. We've been on this for a few weeks, actually, yeah.
So where did the concept come from of making all these different murals?
Well, the driver was to give our airport some look and feel. And the idea was, hey, why not have our primary schools that are under the flight path do their thing? So it's their drawings, it's their work. I'm just here to kind of make sure not too much paint goes on the floor and that kind of thing.
I don't think the schools will be happy about that.
No, so far so good, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how many primary schools are involved, Mark?
We've got 5 schools. Yeah, we've got Linmore, Whakarewarewa, Ōwhata, Whangamurino, and who's our other? Rotorua. Yeah.
And obviously, because the schools are from Rotorua, it's going out to the airport, there's obviously got to be some cultural theme. So what sort of things have you guys been designing?
Well, I've asked the children to tell us their story, what's special about where we live, that kind of thing. It's for the airport, it's going to be there a long, long time. And that's the special thing about it. It's their work, it's their interpretation, their designs. Yeah, so there'll be cultural elements just manifesting, as it would. Yeah.
Now these murals are quite big, aren't they?
They're huge. They're 6 metres by 2.4 each, so we're looking at about 30 metres of muralage, yeah.
So when do you think the project's going to be completed?
Well, we're pushing for getting it done this term so that our children from this year can, be a part of the opening and the unveiling, and, they can stand about and point and say, hey, I did that.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I'm hoping 3 or 4 weeks' time, yeah.
And whereabouts in the airport are they going to be displayed?
The main terminal building, the entranceway, there's 5 areas there where a 6 metre mural will fit just nicely. So, it's been a long time in the process.
Yeah. Now, we're going to have a chat to some of these guys in a minute, but they look like they've almost finished.
We had a good day today. We had a good day. We're on panel number 3 and 4. Panel 5 we'll do next week, and we'll wrap it up. Yep.
So you've obviously been going around all the different schools. How far through are the other 4?
We're about halfway through. Yeah, I still have to work with Whangamurino and Linmore. I have their designs and drawings. It's just physically, having the time, scheduling and that kind of thing. Working with the schools. I mean, every school's got different programs, and so I just got to kind of float.
So this is probably a little bit different to what you normally do in your job, really, if with primary school kids?
Definitely so. And when I was wearing a hat, a muralist's hat, this was something that I would do from time to time as work with schools, so it's not new to me. So I'm pretty fortunate, really, that I can get out of the office for a bit.
Now, we'll put our viewers out of misery because we certainly do want to have a look at what these guys are up to. So should we have a chat to the kids?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Now, it looks like you guys are doing a pretty good job. So what's the mural? What's the theme or the story behind it?
It's presenting our school and what Ōwhata is really about.
Cool. And now those 3 guys there playing rugby, is that your schoolmates?
Yes.
Who are they?
They'll be the rugby players. Do you want the name?
Are you guys pretty excited that your mural's going to get put up at the airport?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to go out with your mums and dads and your whānau to go check it out?
Yeah.
So what's the most exciting thing about doing these murals?
Painting. The painting and art. Painting. That's what I was
Is Mark a pretty good teacher?
Yes. He's a brilliant one.
You call me name.
So when do you think you guys will be finished?
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yep. Now this is obviously the second part of the mural. Tell me the story about this one.
The sun is, and when Murray catches the sun with his brothers
Wow, that's pretty cool, eh?
and make the sun go slower and beat him up.
And also about to die.
First, in the olden days, it used to go fast,
The sun?
and they didn't have enough time to finish what they had to do.
enough time to fish. And to fish and find their food.
Yeah.
Is it wharinuri over there in the corner?
Yes.
And is that a log or a taniwha?
Taniwha.
The rest of the body is
On that part.
Has taniwha got a name?
No, not really.
I think it's just called the taniwha.
Just the taniwha?
That's my axolotl.
You guys are pretty talented, so who wants to be an artist when they grow up?
Me.
Everybody.
Yes.
Now Mark, those kids are pretty enthusiastic about doing this mural, so how did they get chosen to come onto the airport project?
Well, every situation's different. In this case, I believe that they have electives on a Tuesday and a Thursday afternoon, and these were the children that would rather not be boxing and that kind of thing, and no shortage of enthusiasm. Absolutely not. Fizzing with enthusiasm. It's something I kind of have to steel myself for a little bit when we start painting in a classroom environment.
Now, did the schools approach you about this project, or did you approach the schools?
No, I approached the schools and had 100% take up on it. They thought it was a great idea. I mean, the situation is that we're going to develop a professional looking mural with the children. It's their work, and ultimately it's going to come back to the school. You know, so there's a high degree of ownership right there.
I did ask them if they or who wanted to be artists, and they all put their hands up.
Isn't it funny? Yeah. So I haven't put them off at all, which is great. I find that in most schools, I actually do ask the question, who wants to be an artist? And they'll put up, well, I get 80% show of hands. Yeah. I mean, I don't say, oh, look, it's a tough world out there and this and that. You know, it is pretty tough to make it as an artist, especially in this country. But you know, life is short too, eh?
Well, that's a great project, Mark, and I'm looking forward to when they go up. So we'll see you there.
Awesome, me too. I'm really looking forward to them going up. It's been an awesome process. I mean, working with kids is just great. We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Awesome. Appreciate your time, Mark. Thank you.
Good as gold. Cheers.
That was RDC Community Arts Officer Mark Sparkabosch speaking with Alan Solomon. We'd love to hear from you if you have any news or information that you'd like to share with us, so give the station a call on 073488 984, or you can email us news@tv.rotorua.co.nz. Thanks for watching tonight. From all the team here at City News, Homaria Rotorua.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
City News was brought to you by East Brewster Lawyers Rotorua, celebrating 100 years of legal excellence and innovation.